Hello, and welcome to Living the Hero's Journey. My name is Will, and today joining me is Sean.
Hi guys.
And as well as Lady Fern Miss Guy.
Hi.
Why her name is always weird and different, I have no idea. But let's go ahead and jump right into it, shall we? Today we're going to be talking about symbolism and foreshadowing, and how they're kind of always drawn into kind of the same concept or the same idea in a story. So let's start with symbolism, shall we? The use of symbols to represent ideas or qualities. And I think in Star Wars, there is a very, very easy one to recognize. There's a lot, but I think the easiest one is wrapped around Darth Vader. He himself is made out of computer parts and machinery. And it is a symbolism of kind of the organization he's part of. He's part of the Galactic Empire that functions like a machine. All the stormtroopers wear the same outfit. Everyone has to do the same thing. They don't like any of the aliens. Everyone has to be a human. They have to be very doom, 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 doom. Very regimental. Very much like a machine. Static. Kind of very super clean. Not interesting. Boring in a certain kind of way. Without any kind of strangeness about it. So that is Darth Vader. He's a machine just like the organization he is part of. Another interesting symbol is when Luke Skywalker loses his hand, he gets it replaced with a machine hand. And it's symbolizing the fact that he also can be just like his father. Which actually then kind of leads us to our next thing, which is foreshadowing! What is foreshadowing? Foreshadowing! A warning or indication of a future event. So when Luke Skywalker loses his hand, wow, no, you're not my father! It's symbolizing that he could be like his father, and it's foreshadowing that in the future, he might end up very much a machine and join the Galactic Empire, just like Darth Vader did. Now let's also go back to some foreshadowing with Darth Vader. If we go back to episode 1, we know that before Darth Vader is Darth Vader, he's Anakin Skywalker. And he is a person who loves to create things out of machines. So he creates C-3PO, in fact. And he's a pod racer. So he's very good with machines and very mechanical. And this is foreshadowing the idea that he himself might very much become what he creates. And so he ends up becoming a machine. You could add that there's some other symbolism in there and some foreshadowing with the machine part of Darth Vader. He's a machine, and as he becomes more and more machine in the story, he becomes less and less human, or loses his soul. And so as that happens to him, it's foreshadowing that maybe he is going to be a bad guy at the end. But we always talk, when they talk about him, when Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda talk about Darth Vader, they always say that he's more machine than human now. Which I think is also kind of the reverse foreshadowing, that he still has some flesh or human parts about him. Which I think is actually foreshadowing the opposite. He is mostly machine and has very little human in him, but it means he still has some human in him, which might be foreshadowing what happens at the very end of his particular story with his son Luke Skywalker. He himself at the very end gathers enough courage or strength and overthrows Palpatine and throws him over the edge, saving his son from Emperor Palpatine. Why? Because he still had some human left in him, and he wasn't completely machine. And then when Luke Skywalker goes to him and says, hey, let me get you off the ship, he kind of says, nah, don't really try. Machines, computers, they can last forever if you keep updating them and taking care of them and replacing different parts, but he kind of chooses to die at that moment, which is a very human thing. It's not very machine-like to die when we're talking about Star Wars and science fiction. Machines last forever, right? You can fix them, you can always bring them back, but he chooses to go the way that a human does because he still has some human left. So it's kind of foreshadowing the fact that his soul or whatnot is saved. So anyways, what we are going to go ahead and do is we are going to go ahead and jump right into our story. So let's go ahead and introduce our character for today.
So I am once again going to be playing Florg the Trandoshan, who is the lovable but block-headed brute.
I'm gonna be Archimedes again, the quick-witted creator who likes to invent things.
All right. Now, last week we had our heroes capture the Wampa, and they are now going to capture a Rancor, which is a big, scary monster, and I have no idea how they're going to accomplish this task. However, what I want you to do as the watcher, the observer, the listener, if we were reading a book or we were watching a movie, I want you to watch for the symbolism or possible foreshadowing of what is to come next. I want you to watch for it, see if you can find any of it. And the thing is our characters are going to be unaware of it existing until, voila, it has already happened. And so I want you to see if you could discover or figure it out before our characters do. And I might even drop in a few different hints. So you guys, our characters, Florg and Archimedes, are on their way to the planet, and they have just landed on the planet known as Dathomir. The planet's name is Dathomir, and they're in a solar system where the sun's name is Doromir. So, you have just landed, and you are checking your computer on your ship for information about where Rancors are, where they might be, or where you might find them as you're scouring your computers. What do you guys do?
Keep looking at the computers and seeing like where a Rancor would possibly
All right, go ahead and make a research check on the computer. Excellent. You discover that Rancors are normally found in the cave of Periculum. Now, they've just discovered that the name of the cave is Periculum, but they also know that the sun of the planet they're on is named Doromir, which in Spanish actually means sleep. So maybe the characters, when going into the cave, will wind up asleep and the Rancor will eat them. Maybe. I don't know. Go ahead, take this moment to write down what you think the name of the planet, Doromir, meaning sleep in Spanish, means. What is it symbolizing? What is it foreshadowing? All right. After you've written that down, go ahead, let's come on back.
So according to the computer, it says that most Rancors are in a cave called the Cave of Periculum.
The Cave of Periculum. Yeah?
Yes.
Ah, yeah.
Yes.
See, I can speak well.
Yes. Good job, Florg.
Yes. Where is this cave at?
According to the computer, let me do another research. Got two.
I'm not sure.
It is 1 mile away.
Oh, luckily it's only 1 mile away.
Ah, I know how long that is in distances.
Excellent. Do you guys travel?
Yes.
You travel to the Cave of Periculum. Now, I'm going to go ahead and stop us once again. The Cave of Periculum. The word periculum is actually a Latin word that means danger! But our characters are going into the cave of danger without even knowing, because they themselves exist in the Star Wars universe where Latin is not a language. So the characters are incapable of knowing that it actually means danger. So the characters are unable, but the reader or the watcher of the movie or book will know if they know Latin. So foreshadowing and symbolism kind of is a reward for being a person who is watching a show or reading a book who's using their brain. And so it makes it really fun and interesting. And it's why when you're reading a book or watching a movie, you can connect all the different dots, because there's the symbolism that the writer is adding in there to tell you things before the characters know, which adds suspense. Because now that you know they're going into the cave of danger, you're going to be worried for them. If you weren't already worried about the fact that they were going to go battle a Rancor, now the cave is dangerous as well. Maybe it's dangerous just because of the Rancor. Who knows? Maybe. I don't know. Let's go ahead and find out.
Alright, we walk into the cave.
You go inside the cave. Now, you find out that the cave itself is actually a very large open cavern. And it doesn't have a ceiling. So it's very much like a small Grand Canyon. It's a canyon, essentially. It's no longer a cave. There's a few arches that you can go through that are tunnels. But for the most part, it's not. And after traveling for about 30 minutes, you get to a part of the canyon or cave that itself is actually, the walls are very, very polished. So it looks like someone has come into them and flattened them and made them very smooth, like the walls of a house. And you actually notice that there are some different symbols on the wall.
Archimedes, can you read any of these symbols over here?
Ooh. I guess I go ahead and I try to decipher what it says on the wall.
Rawr! At that very moment, as she's trying to decipher, she gets scared because out from a corner of the wall, a gigantic Rancor appears and is trudging and walking towards them. It's so big and tall and terrifying. I will need both of you to go ahead and roll a fear check to see if you're scared.
How many should I roll, seeing as how, am I smart enough to be afraid?
Go ahead and roll 2 of those.
Perfect.
I feel like my will.
Ooh, alright, so it looks like Florg got 3, and so he's not scared, but Archimedes only got 1, and she is very smart, so she is definitely smart enough to know that she should be scared of this big, gigantic, lizard-like creature with scales and snot drooling down its mouth and on its fingers. As you can see, guts and blood of lambs that it has eaten nearby dripping off of its fingers. As it breathes, you can feel a gust of wind from its breath just pressuring your own body, just making you want to walk the other direction because its smell and odor is so horrible. Its very self is the smell of death. Florg, what do you do?
This smells awful. I will go over to Archimedes and defend her if need be.
Excellent. Archimedes, what do you do?
Oh geez, no one said how scary these things actually look. I'm gonna try and look around and see if there's anything that I can decipher or create or something of the sort. I got 2.
You look around, you see the canyon itself, you see the symbols on the wall that you briefly looked at but didn't get a chance. And you see a lot of large rocks around and some sticks and some berries, in fact.
Some berries.
On a bush.
Maybe, Flor, you could pick up one of the big boulders or rocks and throw it at him? Something of the sort? Maybe
Excellent.
You could
At that
tap it
moment,
out?
the monster itself comes stumbling closer. He walks slowly, like a toddler walks, one leg and then the other, stumbling closer as he gets close enough and he goes, rah, 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 rah. Florg, what would you do?
I will pick up the closest rock to me and throw it at it.
Excellent, go ahead. You pick up the rock. Alright, you pick up the rock, you throw it at the monster, and it bounces right off of his head. Blah! He continues to stumble forward as if the rock meant nothing to him. It didn't matter, and it didn't hurt him one bit at all. Florg, what would you like to do?
Archimedes, that did not work. Are you sure that them writing on the wall didn't say anything about, like, how rocks was a bad idea?
I'm gonna look again. So I'm gonna try harder this time. Maybe if I put my hand on the wall, maybe it'll work. I put my hand on the wall, hoping that I'm more successful.
At that moment, as you put your hand on the wall, snot and snarl from the monster drips off of his mouth and his eyes, and it falls on you, covering your whole body in his gross, yucky, icky sweat, and you can't read or decipher anything. And with his other hand, he reaches out and he grabs Florg. Florg, you take 10 points of damage as he squeezes you and lifts you high up into the air, and begins shaking you around and smashing you with his other hand, and walks over here now. Excellent. Florg, what would you like to do?
I will attempt to smash him back to make him let go of me.
Excellent. You use your fists and pound his hand. You pound him very hard, and he does nothing. He doesn't care. He continues to swing you around like a rag doll. Archimedes, what would you do?
I get the slime off of me as best as I can. And I try once again to read the wall.
Ooh, you discover that the wall symbols themselves are actually musical notes, along with pictures and depictions of different stars.
Ooh, oh! It's for some reason the wall. It's musical notes, Florg, and stars. No, musical notes and stars. I don't know what that exactly means. I'm gonna maybe look around again and see if there's anything I could do. Maybe make an instrument? Maybe we need stardust. I got nothing.
You look around and you just see more pictures of musical notes and stars. Do you do anything else?
I say, I need to make an instrument somehow, Florg, so we can play him something. Maybe that's what it means. I don't know.
Excellent. Once again, the Rancor, he reaches up to eat you whole. Rah! You may make a strength check to, as he bites down, hold his mouth out with your hands. Ooh, very good. You are strong enough, and you're holding his mouth out, and so he cannot squish you.
Well, how does the notes go, Archimedes? Maybe we can just sing to him.
Oh, I didn't think of that. I'm gonna go ahead and try and figure out the tune.
You can read the tune, and you know what the tune is.
Oh, hold on. It's do 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 do. Wait, do. That's what it is. It's do 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 do.
And you said it was about stars?
Uh-huh.
I know that song.
Oh, how's it go?
Oh, sing it with me.
Okay.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how you wonder what you are. Up above
As you
the
continue
sky
to
so
sing,
high.
he loosens his grip on you, Florg, and you can see he is no longer trying to eat you, and you can see his eyes closing and opening and closing and opening, and he's wobbling back and forth, Florg. What do you do?
I keep singing. What verse was I on?
You started back from the beginning. How does it sound?
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high,
like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. How I wonder what you are. Oh, at the very end of the song, he crouches down and puts you down, and the Rancor himself goes to sleep.
Oh man. So
So-
glad you didn't get eaten.
I'm going to go ahead and stop our story right there. Now, remember when I told you that the sun of the solar system of Dathomir was called Doramir, right? And it means sleep! It means sleep. And we were able to defeat the Rancor by putting it to sleep. Now, and the symbols on the wall themselves were also symbols. They were musical notes, which are symbols in of themselves in real life that represent the concept of a sound. It is a physical symbol that represents a sound. So even musical notes are symbols. So we see symbols all the time in real life that mean things. So that paired with the stars gave him the idea that the song needed to be Twinkle Twinkle Star. So it was the clue to put them to sleep. So the cave was named Danger because it was very dangerous. There was a Rancor in there. But sometimes the foreshadowing of a planet or something, name something, sometimes an author will try to tell you that something could happen to make you think one thing, but in a very fun and interesting way, it means kind of something else that you weren't quite thinking about in this way of sleep. Maybe we thought the Rancor was going to put them to sleep by eating them forever. But it was actually how to put the monster to sleep. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna give us all a chance to create our own monster and create some symbolism and some foreshadowing for ourselves. So this should be maybe about a good 5 minutes, 4 minutes or so. And this is gonna be the first one that we do together. And your homework is going to be able to produce 5 different symbolisms along with foreshadowings. Maybe they're monsters, hero characters, what have you, planets, different things, spaceships, or events that happen in a story. This one is going to be about a monster. It doesn't have to be a Star Wars monster. It could be a monster in any kind of capacity. So create a monster of your own or use one that you know about and create some symbolism about where it lives or how to defeat it. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right, let's go ahead and do another 45 seconds or so. All right, let's go ahead and stop there. So I have created, and what I wrote down is that there is an island named Bovem, which is in Latin, it means bull. And the hero is going to be traveling to this island, Bovem, and they're going to meet the Minotaur, which is a bull man. And he is going to be doing something on the island, trying to get some gold, what have you, or be a hero. And in my story, the symbolism, what is that Bovem means bull in Latin, so he meets a Minotaur, but I also have some foreshadowing, because the way that the hero is going to defeat the Minotaur is he is going to have to trap the Minotaur with some sort of device or trap that he builds. And on his way to the island, he actually has to cross the ocean, and the ocean's name is Captionem, which in Latin means trap. And so he's going to have to trap the Minotaur. And so the ocean name, Captionem, is Latin for trap, so there's some foreshadowing that trapping is going to be happening, just in the same way that an island is trapped inside of an ocean, and it can't get away. It's completely surrounded by an ocean. So I have some symbolism with the names of things, meaning things, as well as foreshadowing that this other thing is going to happen later on. And so right there, just with some symbolism and some foreshadowing, just a couple concepts, basically, I have the beginnings of an entire story arc. All right.
So I also have a hero who has heard about a creature, and this creature lives in the Swamp of Fangs. The swamp there has a lot of alligators and snakes, so I'm alluding to something with the creatures that currently live in the swamp. The trees look like fangs coming out of the ground is what I wrote, to also kind of allude that, the environment is maybe just as dangerous as the creature himself. Now, the one thing that I really wanted to make a point about is how hot the sun was, so that way later on, when our hero remembers that, he can maybe remember the fact that if it's cold, it'll be easier to defeat the monster, so maybe at night is a better time to fight it. The last thing is if I was going to be writing a story, I would have put that the hero found out, maybe through legend, that there used to be old ruins in this swamp, and that the people who once lived there worshipped alligators and snakes, and then my monster at the very end who would be living in these ruins is a lizard man. So I wanted you guys to also kind of get what I was going with there. So it's a lizard man who lives in a swamp of fangs, and there's a bunch of reptiles showing that probably the dangerous creature will also be some kind of a reptile.
Excellent, excellent. All right, Lady Miss Fernsky.
I kind of came up with the idea of an ice castle in the middle of summer. So there's obviously some reason why this ice castle that I called Igloois, which is kind of like a play on the word igloo, which are the little ice homes up north in the icy area. And it's in the middle of summer, so that's obviously symbolizing that there is someone there who lives in that castle who is either icy or cold or something of the sort. And because it's summertime, that there's something preventing it. But it's also foreshadowing that maybe there needs to be a heat in order to melt the person, the icy queen, away for like whatever it is that makes her so cold, melting that away. So it's kind of what I got going. I only had a couple of minutes, but
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. So if you didn't do the monster one, that's okay. Go ahead and do it. What I'm looking for is 5 different instances of symbolism and foreshadowing. Another point on foreshadowing, other than making it very interesting for the reader to connect different dots, which gives you a sense of satisfaction as a reader. It's why you want to read that next little bit. It gives you satisfaction. It's like you accomplished something. But it also makes it so that whenever something happens, it doesn't seem really strange or out of place. So if a character is always acting super happy all the time, but then all of a sudden for some reason they're acting completely not happy and sad and depressed, it would make no sense. And for a reader, we would be very confused. However, if we added in some foreshadowing or some symbolism that maybe this character, although always happy, constantly has nightmares about being sad after something happens, or what have you, then maybe after something happens in the story, the next thing that happens to this character is they completely change to this more sad and depressed-like character, and those dreams are foreshadowing that this might happen. So as a reader, when it happens, we're not completely confused and thrown off, which would make us very frustrated. And we don't want to frustrate our readers. We want to guide them on a path like a river. So that is what we have. I'm going to put some more notes on the email to you about the foreshadowing and symbolism that I'm looking for, but that's all the time we have for today. So until next week, goodbye!
Bye!